because I'm actually in my bedroom right now.
Oh, that's fine. Like I can see that you're eating. So, um, yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. I think let's keep it low key. And we,
Okay,
we
sure.
we can
Sure.
talk more
Yeah, yeah.
freely, perhaps.
So, of course, yeah.
And we're live this time with MENJ of the Muslim Apologist. I first saw him on T Jump, debating God with T Jump, and I realised that he's a very active political, a Muslim. Not evangelist. There's a word that I shouldn't be using. I said you were a da'i, and you
Apologist.
said, "Oh no, no, you're not."
I prefer the word apologist.
Yes, apologist is because it's like, what do you have to apologize for? And I think it came from the Christians because they have a lot to apologize for. So I think they were the ones who coined the term apologist. And I said, yeah, because you can't even explain yourself properly to yourselves about your belief system. So, but I think the Muslim one is quite strong. I mean, the best argument I had for the existence of God is this one, and that was when I was debating with um, a Muslim, and I was taking the atheist side, and it goes, we are here because there was a creation, and we are part of creation, and because there was a creation, there must have been a creator, and we Muslims believe that that creator was Allah. You know,
Yep,
that
yep, of course.
that's quite
Mhm.
solid. I mean, I thought of arguing against that, and well, you can say, well, we don't believe that the universe was created by anyone. That that it was always there. They can go like that, but what about the Big Bang? Who caused the Big Bang? Because atheists and scientists are agreed on the Big Bang, aren't they?
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, as I mentioned in my live stream that I think you have just heard, I'm not focusing on atheists at the moment, atheism or anything related to atheism at the moment. Yeah.
But yeah, because of the peculiar conditions in Malaysia, because you're saying that the Christian missionaries are targeting you, Muslims in
Not
Malaysia.
exactly, not exactly. That's not the reason. Actually, to be honest, actually we are experiencing a high number of atheists among even the Muslim community right now is being faced with a high number of these so-called new atheists who actually evangelize their atheism to other people, and other people are being influenced by them, and atheism is actually on the rise at an alarming rate among even the Muslim community. So eventually I'm going to have to deal with them, okay, as an apologist. But personally, since I don't feel competent yet, I mean, to be honest, I mean, I may be able to answer certain arguments, but towards the Christians, because it is the Christians whom I've been dealing with for the past 20 years. Atheism is something quite recent for me, so
Hmm.
I don't feel comfortable dealing with the atheists yet. So I'm
Right.
going to
Well,
focus on the
I
Christians
deal with
first,
them.
and then yeah.
I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
deal with them most of the time anyway. There are actually very few, people wanting to argue that Christianity is better because, it's almost impossible to argue. So you mentioned in your most recent stream somebody called Harris Sultan,
Yes, yes, Haris
and
Sultan. Yeah,
he's
I
from
think
the
he's
school of
he's
ex-Muslims, right? There seems to be a
yes,
school
that's right.
for them
That's right.
that they do take exams in and graduate from. I think they're being trained. Do
Yes,
do do you think?
exactly. I mean, I'm not sure about train, but I'm pretty sure they are moving in a group. They are highly organized. I believe that somehow they are collaborating together. They are in some sort of clique. Probably they share a WhatsApp group account or something. So they are probably in contact with each other, and they are communicating with each other, definitely, and they are supporting each other, and they are trying to always refine their arguments against Muslims. So yeah, I believe there is a growing number of atheists like this Haris Sultan, or even Apostate Prophet Apus, who has gathered together, a group of ex-Muslims like themselves, or murtads like themselves, and they are actually focusing on attacking Islam. So most likely they are being funded as well, but we don't know who's funding them, of course. Yeah,
CIA probably. But
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't
okay,
want to
we don't
speculate,
know.
but
We're just
but
speculating.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Um,
that's right. That's right.
so what is their most difficult argument? I mean, their most cogent argument, as far as you know, because Daniel Hakikatsu
Yeah.
dealt with Harry Sultan beautifully, didn't he? He
Oh
completely
yes, he did. He did.
beat him
Yeah.
up
Well,
and
to me, I've listened to what Apes had to say, and even what Haris Sultan has to say. It's not that the arguments are difficult to answer. It's just that the arguments are appealing to emotionalism. You see, so the argument goes like this. Okay, it's something along the lines of, let's say if you're a Muslim woman. Okay, so Islam tells me to sorry, maybe even a normal Muslim. Okay, I'll give a generic example. Okay, so let's say Islam teaches me to fast. I don't like fasting. Therefore, fasting is false. You see, this is the kind of arguments that they appeal to. You see,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then and
and
then
you
they try
say,
to
well,
justify, and then the thing is, they try to justify why fasting is false by saying, "Oh, fasting came from previous religions, so why should I follow previous religions? Therefore, Islam is false." See, but the thing is, the point is that the reason why they reject fasting in the first place is because they just don't like it. I mean, it's a personal choice. I mean, they just dislike it, and they think that Islam is at fault for telling them to fast, when it's actually their fault for not complying with Islamic rules. You see, so it's actually their problem. It's like, for example, if you were driving on a road, okay, you're expected to follow certain rules and regulations. Okay,
for
if
your
you don't
own
like it,
good.
don't drive, right?
Yeah, yeah, because it
Yeah,
could be
yeah.
dangerous if you suddenly change your mind about which side of the road you want to be on, because you're
Exactly,
going to
exactly.
cause
Yeah,
a
exactly.
road
Yeah.
traffic accident. Um,
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like this. For example, okay, let's say if I drive and then I come across a red light, I need to stop at red. But what if I say, oh, I don't like red to be a signal for me to stop. I want to go faster if it's red. See? So that is against the rules. I mean, the rules are there for a reason. And if you don't like the rules, it's too bad. But that's how it is. I mean, you shouldn't be driving that. I mean, you shouldn't even exist then, as a driver, if you don't like the rules. You see, so that's the thing with rules and regulations. I mean, you're okay with following the traffic rules, but you're not okay with following Islamic rules. Is that the only reason why you reject Islam? For me, that's a very emotional and basis reason to deny Islam as the truth. Yeah.
so
So this kind of argument, yeah, okay, sure.
I was going to ask you who you think is the best, um, uh, the best. What's a word? I can't even think of it. Tom T. Jump. Do you think he's one of the better? Makes a better arguments for atheism. You've debated with him, haven't you? I mean,
I
is there
haven't
one that
come
you think,
across
oh,
the.
I would like to face him because his arguments are so good?
I would probably, I don't actually have of anyone in mind, actually, because like I said, I'm quite new to atheism, so as an ideology to debate with, so I don't actually have any particular person whom I think is good to debate with, or is very competent in debating atheism. But generally speaking, as a Muslim, the atheists that I come across, they are not very intelligent. Yeah, that's what I can say. Yeah, there are probably more intelligent atheists than them, that they can justify the reason why they became atheists. But so far, I have not come across any. That's all I can say. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
T. Jump is the poster boy for atheists, you know, of that particular
No.
age group,
Mhm.
and
Oh, okay. I've never come across him. I mean, if you're referring to a specific person, then no. Yeah.
what you debated with T. Jump, didn't you?
Sorry?
Tom Jump.
Oh, T Jump. Oh, you're referring to Tom Jump. Well, I don't think he's very intelligent, by the way. He appeals to emotion. Okay, he appeals to emotion, and he tries to sound intellectual. But when you look at it, when you listen to it again, then you realize he isn't very intellectual. I wouldn't consider him to be smart, to be honest.
No, no, but there are so many people who want that position, and he uses a lot of tricks to silence his opponents. He says he's going to mute them. He's going to, he has a sort of set of word, a form of words that he can say and repeat, and people think he's won the argument because he says it so,
Exactly,
confidently.
exactly. You see, he uses a certain lingo. He probably speaks like, oh, he sounds very smart and so on. But in the end, when you listen to his arguments, it's not really very smart at all. You see.
And I think for you, I mean, okay, I deal with a lot of Islamophobes in Britain, and the best ones to deal with, who are most receptive and who most hate Islam, are the people who are social conservatives who don't like the way the government is going, who are afraid of intersectionality, wokeness, LGBT, gay marriage, transgenderism, and they don't know what to do. But if they hate Islam, and quite a lot of them hate Jews. So of course they're also being, um, you know, running on emotion, i.e., hatred, because I guess they can't believe that the government is so evil and indifferent, and they assume that somebody is to blame, and they hate Muslims, and they blame Jews for letting the Muslims in, and that kind of thing, and I say to them, well, your religion has stopped working. It stopped working, centuries ago, and I think it's gaining some traction in the West, because they can't deny it. Even however much they hate Islam, it's like they know they have no religion because they don't
Yes,
believe in
exactly.
God.
So
And I
you
say,
see, the thing is, people always find a reason to hate. Okay, like for example, in the last century, we have the Jews that became the victim of of hatred and basically anti-Semitism, right, in Europe. So I think this day and age, it is the Muslims who have taken over that role. So there will always be a group of people whom, unfortunately, Europeans would love to hate, and yeah, Muslims have now, like for example, like you see what's happening now in, I think it was in Sweden, where there's some activity going on, burning a Quran, burning activity going on. I think, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, this is one example of that. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, they show their hatred by drawing cartoons of Muhammad, that kind of thing, and I think they can't decide who they hate more. I mean, basically that is their problem, you know. They can't decide whether it's their politicians or the Jews that they think have destroyed their civilization, or the Muslims who keep coming in, keep being invited in, because I think what their government does is they bomb Muslim countries. These Muslims run to the West rather than go to Africa when their countries have been destroyed, and they come to the West as cheap labor, and it undermines the wages of the working classes, for those of them who are still working, and that that's what they hate. So I think that is fundamentally their problem, and what the Labour Party does, or the Democrats do, is that they get a generation of grateful voters, basically, if they sell them passports and say, we let you in, we'll protect you from the horrible white people who are angry with you. But mind you, Malaysia is doing the same thing. There's a lot of immigrants in Malaysia, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
they
you
are.
have political parties that say, well, give them passports and they'll vote for us.
I don't think I would put it that way. I think for Malaysia we have a different issue concerning immigration. It's not exactly the same as how Europeans are experiencing it. Okay, because we have laws, and we have very strict laws actually about allowing immigration. But yes, there is a degree of discrimination that's happening, but it's not on the same level as how Europeans are dealing with immigration. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of Europeans feel that immigrants have more rights than they do. I mean, whether it's true or not, we don't know. But anyway, they know they're kind of prevented from complaining because anything they say, it's hate speech. They get banned from Facebook. Whatever, and this is basically what is happening to them now. And they're trying to work out the problem, I guess. But at the end of the day, I think this is basically it. It's a sort of labour shortage problem as far as I see it. The government is embarrassed to say, look, you have to have children earlier and they have to be educated better, that kind of thing, and they don't dare say it. The Conservatives don't dare to say it to the people complaining about immigration. And I know from that the leaders of anti-immigration parties, they don't say it to their supporters because it would upset them. That they can, you're supposed to have more children, you're supposed to, but you have to marry before you have children, and then you have to bring them up properly so that they become, so they become desirable employees when they grow up and join the labour force. But there is a welfare state in Britain, and they just can't benefit when they can't get a job. So their feeling is out of increasing resentment, but nobody wants to hire them because their upbringing is trash. They went to a trashy school. They didn't learn anything. They can't do anything. Nobody wants to hire them. And and that I think is fundamentally the problem of democracy, because until the government admits that democracy is actually the problem, they're afraid to tell these people that they have to, well, marry earlier and have more children if they don't like the immigration, or they should just shut up and forget it. But even the anti-immigration parties don't do that, because they're fundamentally dishonest. So they say, oh yeah, it's the Jews who did it. Oh yeah, it's the Muslims. Aren't they annoying? Whatever.
So I think what I think about this is that I find it funny that on one hand, in Europe, you have the far right groups, right, where regardless whether it's in the Netherlands or in the UK or in the Scandinavian countries, who are very much against anti-immigration and so on. And then on the other side, you have these liberal parties, right, who encourage immigration, but at the same time, oh, we encourage immigration, but we don't allow certain groups of people, okay, to enter the country, to enter
Oh,
our
like
country.
Trump.
Like for
Trump
example,
saying no
yes,
Muslims.
well, yes, something like that. And also, I saw, like for example, what's happening in Russia, in Ukraine right now. Russia is attacking the Ukraine, invading the Ukraine, and a lot of and then a lot of these immigrants from refugees from the Ukraine are leaving the country and entering European countries. And we have the Western media saying, oh, we accept these Ukrainian refugees because they are white and blonde like us. Okay, but at the same time, they don't treat the refugees from war-torn countries in the Middle East like Syria or Yemen the same way. You see, so I do see a degree of
Is because they
discrimination
are
there. I
white and
mean,
blonde like us.
why do you allow refugees from the Ukraine to enter your countries in Europe, but you deny that same right to refugees from war-torn countries in the Middle East, like Syria and Yemen? Okay,
Well,
so
there,
is
there,
just
there's
is it just
Syrians
because
already
yeah
in the UK. So,
yeah
I mean, I guess a lot of the white men say, oh, there'll be more, white women for us, or that kind of thing. But I think in the end, they don't like it because I've been, monitoring these anti-immigration parties, and on the websites they sort of say, and it's usually working class white people who support the anti-immigration parties, and some of them say, well actually, we don't really mind the blacks because they don't compete against us, but we do mind the Polish plumbers and people, decorators and people like that, because they do compete against us. So even in if they think about it carefully, it's not really racial, but I guess for people who don't think through these things properly, They, they think in terms of the changes in their country that they've seen in their lifetimes, and and of course the racial composition. So they go on about that because at least everybody can see it. Everybody has statistics to prove it, and they don't like it, and that's why they go on about it. But as you were saying, a lot of them are not very intelligent, and a lot of these of their leaders are intellectually dishonest. And then
Yes,
okay,
exactly,
and they
exactly.
can't,
Yeah.
and Christianity is the problem. They you know, it's nearly 2,000 years of Christianity, isn't it? You know, uh, think of them saying, "Oh, we were all wrong. We were all tricked," which is the case. I mean, I do put it to them that yeah, you were all forcibly converted into Christianity by your kings. I mean, the only people who freely entered into the bargain of Christianity were the European monarchs who accepted the bargain offered by the Christian missionaries that came from Rome, because at the time, although the European kings were barbarian kings, they couldn't write, they couldn't read, and they were impressed with the Christian missionaries who came from Rome, because Rome was the empire that used to conquer them, and before before Rome fell, and that was the
I
best.
see.
Yeah, so at the time, what else was there? They could just sort of carry on worshipping their pagan deities or accept the offer from Rome. I mean, in Ireland, they had Celtic Christianity, which was their own kind of Christianity. And there was this, big debate about, ooh, shall we accept the offer from Rome, or shall we do it our own way? And they were, overwhelmed, like, by the glamour of the eternal city that was Rome. That they just couldn't shake themselves off the spell, so they accepted the bargain, and then the Reformation, you may have heard of it, when the kings, having civilized themselves and being able to read Greek and Latin and having ideas of their own, they resented being told whom they could or couldn't marry by the Pope. I mean, that was Henry VIII's problem with Rome, because he wanted a son. His first wife was in her 40s, only gave him a daughter. He couldn't do anything with that. He wanted to sire a son. But what I say to them is that if Henry had already been Muslim, he could have had up to 4 wives without divorcing any of them, and without beheading any of them, and he would have saved a lot of bloodshed during the English Reformation. The European wars of religion
Exactly, exactly.
were really
I always
bloody.
find that I always find that the issue of Henry the Eighth, with his wives to be quite intriguing, because he wanted to marry, was it Anne Boleyn? He wanted to
Yeah,
marry Anne Boleyn,
who was the mother of
and
Elizabeth.
the church refused his request to divorce his first wife. So because of that, he split away from the Catholic Church and he formed his own church, all over a marriage. And I was thinking to myself, when I came across this story, I was thinking to myself, why didn't he just convert to be a Muslim and he can keep both?
Well, that's the thing. You see, and before that, the Henry II. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he was the one who was responsible
I
for
think
the
so.
murder
Yeah.
in the cathedral of Thomas a Becket. You
Oh, I
know,
don't know about this. I only know about Henry the Eighth and so on. Yeah, and onwards. Yeah,
okay, well
my
you can
knowledge
find it on
of
on the
English monarch.
internet,
Yeah.
but
All right.
anyway,
Okay. I will look it up. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and the story is basically this. He appointed Thomas a Becket as his archbishop, and Thomas a Becket, was his friend, and he thought that's fine. He can be my archbishop, but at the time everybody was Catholic, and Thomas a Becket was basically following orders from Rome, and so he clashed with the king, who thought, well, you're my friend. Why are you being so awkward about so many things? So they just clashed and clashed, and the story is that. Henry said one day, oh, will no one rid me of this turbulent priest? And the story is that 2 knights heard it, and they thought, well, we'll rid him of this turbulent priest. So they killed him. They killed Thomas à Becket. So I mean that's basically the story, um, and and you can find an article online from History Extra saying that Henry II, who was having a lot of problems with the Pope, actually threatened to convert to Islam as early as that. In the 11th century, the European monarchs were already having a problem with the Pope because basically the Pope was saying, you have to do things this way, you have to do things that way, and if you don't do things our way, we're gonna, curse you, basically, or subject you to interdict, which means that all your prayers will be invalid, and you're going to, it's some weird sort of stuff that has some supernatural bearing on people who are worried about going to hell. So, at the time it had, some power to frighten the kings. But anyway, so the rule in Europe was that if you are the king and you have subjects, your subjects have to follow your religion. Because you have the power of life and
Yes,
death over them.
I don't
And
think
if
this
it,
just I don't think this just applies to Europe because when Islam came to the region, the masses reverted to Islam because their kings or the Hindu kings of the region had also embraced Islam. So I don't think this is a phenomenon unique to Europe alone. Okay, it also happened in especially in this region, the Southeast Asian region as well. Yeah.
sorry, can you say that again?
Oh, yeah. So basically, when Islam came to the region, the missionaries, well, we have Muslim missionaries from Yemen and from the Arab countries at the time. They came to basically.
There's something wrong with your audio.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, sure. So going back to what I said, so these Muslim missionaries from the Arab country, from the Arab region, okay, from Arab traders from Yemen and so on, they came to the region, and they talked to the rulers of the day in this region. So most of them were Hindus. So those who were attracted to Islam, they became Muslim, and the masses, when they see that their king have become a Muslim, they followed suit. So I would say this phenomenon of following the religion of the ruler is not uncommon. I think it's not just unique to Europe alone. In fact, it's something which happened here as well
Oh
in
yes, yes,
the
yes.
Southeast Asian region.
I understand that, but Christianity is unique in that you may have heard of the practice of burning heretics at the stake that took place. If you said the wrong thing.
I don't think so. I don't
Um,
think so. Maybe you can enlighten me on that. Yeah.
well, basically, um, that was a penalty for blasphemy in Europe, and it was blasphemy to question the divinity of Jesus. And they they took it from Judaism because there are 36 capital offenses in Judaism, and included are blasphemy and idolatry and sodomy and but anyway it's death for Jews too for if blasphemy is a death attracts a death penalty, and of course the Christian narrative is that Jesus was executed for blasphemy. Yes. Hello. It's gone quiet. I don't know what's happened. Hello, can you hear me? Camera failed. Sorry, I don't know what happened, but the page closed down. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So sorry, I
Uh,
don't know what happened. Maybe my it just says my computer's a
yes.
bit overloaded, so
Yeah, yeah,
I'll close
your
it.
connection got cut off. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, maybe can we wrap this up because I think there are guests at the door and yeah, because it's Eid, so yeah,
Oh,
sorry,
okay.
Claire.
Well, have a good day and Eid Mubarak.
Yeah.
Is that the correct greeting?
Thank you.
All right.
Yes, yes, it is. Yeah. Thank you,
Okay.
Claire.
All
Thank you
right.
very much. Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Have a good day.
Yes, yes. I hope to talk to you again,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yes. All right. Take care.
All
Bye.
right.